Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to go ahead and call to order our meeting of the Brawley City Council and successor agency to the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency. Special meeting agenda today, Tuesday, September 22nd, 6 p.m., being held in our City Council chambers at 383 Main Street here in Brawley. Okay, Alma, can we have roll call?
Mayor Casper Howdy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamby.
Here.
Councilmember Couchman.
Here.
Councilmember Nava.
Here.
And Councilmember Owens. Mayor.
I think he's absent at this
We'll
time.
wait till.
Councilmember Wharton may be arriving via Zoom
Okay.
shortly.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to our invocation. Mayor Pro Tem Hamby, would you do us the honors?
Certainly.
Everyone, please stand.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we are once again here tonight grateful to you for our freedoms and the blessings that you've poured out upon us. I offer thanks for the community that we have here, Lord, as we see chaos throughout our country. We are grateful for the peace that we have here in our community in Brawley and Imperial Valley. Lord, I ask that you would continue to place your hand of protection upon us, on our safety services, and our community members. I ask that you would give us wisdom tonight to lead our city on the right path. We know that there are choices ahead of us, and many of them are going to be difficult. So, Lord, I ask that you would bless us with wisdom, bless us with intestinal fortitude to make the difficult choices. I ask that you would continue to bless all the employees of our city, and Lord, that you would just guide our paths, each of us in this community. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Councilman Nava, can you lead us on the pledge?
Ready? Begin.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you both very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to the approval of the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda as written.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Hamby moved, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Councilman Couchman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to public appearances and comments, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is a time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. So at this time, we'll go ahead and, is there anyone here for public comments? Please stand and come up to the front, please. State your name to the microphone and. This one over here, yes.
My name is Jim Graves. I'm again asking for the city to encourage Republic to pick up our trash on a regular basis at 195 West E. This is the second time I've been here on this one. I was here like 3 years ago or something. We've got 2 bins over there on each side of the alley. The problem is they sometimes skip one of the bins, and so I end up picking up trash at 9 o'clock at night when I'm on the way home from work, or on the weekends or any other time. I've called them, I've talked to them, I've gone down to their place on Dogwood Road. It doesn't work, 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 and it doesn't work. Okay? So, your contract, paragraph 11.2.2 contains the right to terminate if they fail, neglect, or refuse to comply with material provisions of this trash picking up contract. I respectfully request that the city write them a letter and start this termination process. to show them, if for no other reason than to show them that you mean business. Because I'm a third-party beneficiary of this contract, okay? I can't hire anybody else. It's a monopoly. So I don't have any choice.
Okay.
I would like you to write a letter to them, 11.2.2. And get started on the process of terminating Republic if they don't comply.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I've called them many times. I've gone down there. I've been here. Nothing works, nothing works, and nothing works, and nothing works. I'm tired of that.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your comments, and we'll definitely look into it.
Second thing,
yes,
if I
go
can
ahead.
just, second.
Sure.
I'm asking everybody on the council to oppose the proposed methadone clinic at 525 Main, the old Factory to You building. You can see my polemic here. There's some pictures attached to that show what Brawley will look like if you bring a methadone clinic here. I took these pictures the other day in El Centro. The methadone clinic in El Centro is 900 feet from our office. And you have feces in the back alley. You have people wandering around talking to themselves. There was a robbery of a woman last week. It was in the IV press. They've destroyed downtown El Centro with mentally disordered drug addicts. The same thing will happen here. The other thing that will happen here is since you can't get them off of public property unless you've got someplace to put them, they're going to be living at the plaza. They're going to be sitting on the grass out here with their tents, their lean-tos, their washing machine boxes, whatever. All public use of the plaza will require people to evade human feces, needles, trash, and whatever else they bring with them. Okay, it'll be like Needle Park, Jeff Cassie Park. Okay, no public use of Jeff Cassie Park because it's a haven for mentally disordered drug addicts. So I'm asking all of you to kill this CUP. Also, I want to note that the CUP, the notice that was in the newspaper said it was outpatient. It was for outpatient, individual, and group substance abuse treatment clinic to operate in an existing building. Okay, I guess they figured nobody knows how to read down here. The Development Review Committee staff report, which is attached to this, states that it actually will be a medical office / substance abuse treatment center. You know what that means. A medical office means they're going to be handing out drugs to people. That means it's a methadone clinic. If you want to see what a methadone clinic looks like, come down to my office at 636 State Street, and I'll give you the guided tour.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Graves.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Are there any other public comments? Yes, come up, please. State your name and your address.
My name's Lori Gibson.
Can you lower the microphone so we can hear you?
My
I'm
name
sorry,
is
what was your name?
Lori Gibson. DeBose. My dad was Dan DeBose. I'm here because my dog has been under quarantine because he bit me, and he has a seizure disorder. He's never growled, never been mean to anybody else, but in the law it even says a dog. The one time he bit me, it was because I was walking him, and I tripped, and he was in front of me, and I fell on him. the doctors in San Diego said, don't punish that dog, you know. But him and I have been through so much the last couple of years, and I've been real sick for like the last 8 months. He's my rock, you know. I can't lose anything else.
What is it that you're asking, Ms.
That I have,
Gibson?
that I get the dog back. He doesn't deserve this. He shouldn't be punished for having, you know, if your child has seizures, are they tossed out or treated any different? No. You know, they lash out, they might not necessarily be put down, but you're worried about him biting me. He don't bite strangers or nothing. You know, just said an example. Like men hit women. It's just a way of people hurting. They usually hurt the people they love, you know, and that's their way of telling you that he doesn't feel good. Maybe I touched him and I didn't know that he was sore there. That's not an excuse, you know, for him to be, you know, kept away from me. I'm sure this has been very stressful on him. I stated whenever they came that he needed seizure medication. He's been down there without it, and you know, and just because he hasn't had a seizure, he has had, a couple. Because we've been displaced twice in a year, and lost everything. And he's my everything. He's all I have.
Well, we feel for what's happened to you, Ms. Gibson, and we'll see what we can find out for you.
Because, you know, he's done very well down there. Like I said, he's, you know, I take him for walks every night with the little girl, and you know, he likes people, and I'm afraid to get bit by a dog, you know, and if I'm not afraid of him, it's because I know it's not him. It's not his fault, you know, because someone has an epileptic seizure, you don't say, you know, you're not a good parent, you know. And he's been down there for 14 days with no medication and exposed to strangers, and he's doing well. You're not worried about him attacking someone else because he's not a violent dog. You know.
If I could ask a question with respect to your pet, so he was taken away by Brawley
Animal control.
And he's in quarantine at the moment.
Today is the last day.
Okay, and so what happens at that point? They're going to release him back to you, or
They
what?
said that's up to you. Your guys' decision.
Okay, so that's the reason you're here, to ask
Yes.
for our assistance in
Yes.
that. Okay,
Okay.
all right, that
Because
clarifies
I would
it.
like to go and get him tomorrow if I could.
Okay.
Understood.
Okay.
We'll
We'll see
clarify
what
it
we
with
can do.
staff and go from
We'll
there.
talk to our
I
animal
just
control
come down
staff,
here and
and
I pay you guys or something.
our city manager will follow up with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you so much, Ms. Gibson. Good luck. I hope he's dead. Good. Okay. Are there any other public comments? Okay. Then we'll go ahead and move on to, we have a special recognition today. We'd like to, Mr. Lloyd Miller to come up. We have a plaque on behalf, I'll go ahead and read it, and then I'll go down there. On behalf of myself, the mayor, and the council members of the city of Brawley, we hereby congratulate the Desert Review, Mr. Lloyd Miller, on your 10-year anniversary. We thank you for your dedication and excellent coverage for all the people of the Imperial Valley. We truly feel that you provide an excellent service for everybody in the community, not just Brawley. So we wanted to acknowledge your 10-year anniversary. Congratulations.
All right.
You guys want to come down?
Sure, let's come down
Let's
and
come down and take a picture.
join Lloyd Miller for 10 years. We're going to stand here for 10
Congratulations.
years, Lloyd. We're going to stand here for 10 years.
You deserve how much more everybody deserves.
Congratulations, brother. 10 years in business. Hey, Lloyd, just so you know, Donnie is on the phone. He's not on. He's on the phone. I'm smiling.
1, 2, and
Did you just take selfies right now? Is that what that was?
comment.
Yeah.
Do I have to take this off, or can I?
Sure, go for it.
Go ahead.
I'll take that off. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, council members, and staff, thank you so much for the recognition. It is our honor for the Desert Review to serve the Imperial Valley. As a locally owned business, we strive to make our printed and online papers easily available as we cover local stories and events. We thank our readers and our advertisers who have supported us from the beginning. We look forward to the future and anticipate great things for the Imperial Valley and Brawley. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If I could add a comment, Lloyd, congratulations to you, to your family. I know it's really a family business there, and you know, you've located in downtown Brawley now for many years, and you know, any business, having it run any business for 10 years is a very difficult proposition for anybody. So I congratulate you for 10 years in business and for the work that you've done. It's been a challenge for you, I know, many times, but you know, you've been very consistent in providing quality reporting on the city and other things. So congratulations on not just the paper, but on your business, on that success. And I hope to see that it's around for many, many, many more years. So congratulations to you. Yeah.
Thank you. Sam?
Well, Lloyd, yes, congratulations. As a city council person, I've appreciated your coverage of our meetings for the public and the articles that you do about the city of Brawley and also the valley in general, your coverage on the county board of supervisors and all of those types of stories that you do. So we do appreciate that coverage. It's very much needed out there for the public to be aware of what's going on in government and in their community. And I think that's vitally important. I'll be sending you a bill for Rotary fines from my picture being in the paper, but other than that, everything else is good. But we do appreciate you being there. And we appreciate you being here at our meetings on a regular basis. COVID kind of had some impact on that, but certainly we do, certainly here in Brawley, I'm sure everybody appreciates the coverage. Thank you very much. I know.
Yeah, he owes a lot of money, you know.
Thank you.
Luke, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, congratulations, Lloyd. We appreciate having you in our town. You know, I think there's a lot of cities that are our size that don't have their own paper. And for quite a while we didn't, so we're grateful to have you. I like seeing your office right there on the plaza. It just kind of completes that small town feel. And I appreciate the kind words you've put in the paper about me over the years. Probably been nicer than you needed to be.
You didn't read the article yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
Oh.
you must have missed that one.
And that's, yeah.
I'll have to go back and
Yeah.
see that one. But I would like to see more Sudoku in the paper if you get an opportunity. So.
I don't know if Donnie is able to.
Is he on?
He's on the phone. Yeah.
Okay. Donnie, would you like to say anything?
I just did text congratulations to Lloyd and Betty, but I wish I could be there in person. But huge accomplishment, great achievement, and very proud of what you both have done for the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
And
Donnie looks like a phone on the screen, but he's not really, doesn't really look that way. He looks a little green, might be sick. He'll be live in a minute.
Once
All
he
right.
finishes getting dressed, he'll be on.
I want to congratulate you again. I really felt, I'm glad you notified us of your 10-year anniversary because I think it's a big time to celebrate. And I too appreciate you staying in Brawley, and I really, really admire everything that you do. I compare a lot of times with other newspapers, and I feel that you really do excellent coverage, and you always address a lot of the things that are happening in our city of Brawley, and it's very much appreciated. And I also appreciate you being here for our meetings. I know that with the pandemic, it hasn't been possible, but since I got on the council, I think every single meeting you've been present, and you're really good about putting everything in the paper correctly, accurately, and reporting. So my appreciation to you and Betty. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Okay.
do you want to put these on the record, the letters from?
Again, congratulations, Lloyd.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Forgot about that. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
There was one other thing that was part of public comments, but Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hamby, for reminding me. We did have a few other public comments that came in that were submitted in writing, and the majority of them, or I think probably, let's see, they're all about the same topic. So I won't read all of them, but maybe I'll just go ahead and summarize one and indicate who has submitted the comments. The first one came from Cindy Vandiver from 290 Riverwood Drive and here in Brawley. And she is writing, her comments are in regards to the recent fires near Ridge Park subdivision. And I'll try to go ahead and just summarize. The concern is regarding the fire danger in the immediate vicinity. The main issue is that although the fire was on the west side of the river gorge, there is plenty of tinder fuel, brush, scrub, and dead trees on the east side of the gorge to cause catastrophic devastation to the Ridge Park community, as well as the homes along the west end of Duarte, Jones, and Trail Streets, which she calls the Merritt subdivision. And she brings to our attention that there's a homeless encampment located on city land between Pat Williams Park and the farmland to our west. They move around and may also be camped on adjacent parcels. And she has met with Mr. Hamby, and I think most of us have been called also in regards to this particular issue. And their belief is that the problem is twofold: homeless encampments and the fire danger due to the available fuel source. And she goes on into a little bit more detail. And these issues present a real health and safety issues to the residents and property along the northwest part of town. A fire along the east bank could be devastating. Getting a resolution will take coordination between numerous entities, city, county, IID, and landowners. And she expresses that this week there were 2 fires out there in that area, that it was very scary for all the residents in the neighborhood. And indicates she doesn't have all the answers, but they have ideas and are willing to help any way they can. And they're willing to form, I guess, a group to address these issues, and of course want the assistance from our city. And I think we all concur that this is definitely something that we are all concerned about. And we're just very thankful that our fire department and the other cities that assisted in the county that assisted putting out the fires, we thank you for the excellent work you did, the coordination. And we did receive concerns from various other residents from that area. The other residents are William and Carol Sassy, Joe and Cindy Verdugo, and I believe that's it. Those are the 3 letters that we received for public comment.
There's a few others, I believe.
Is there? Okay.
Tondo.
Matthew and Nicole Atondo, and the Sassies, and then Joe and Cindy Verdugo.
Okay. So thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. Like I said, I think it's something that definitely our city is very concerned about, and we will look into what we can do to avoid this from happening again, and perhaps form some kind of a group to address some of these issues.
Madam Mayor, if I
Yes.
may add a comment. There was also some public comment that came my way via email. I forwarded it to council and to the city clerk, and it's with respect to the CUP conditional use permit application for the property on Main Street as well that was discussed earlier. So I did forward that information in,
Yes.
and I think it's being forwarded to the planning department as formal correspondence that's been received. But I did want to mention that just so people that are listening, they don't think that their comments went unrecognized, so they did.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Yes.
The only other
Mr.
point I would
Couchman?
make is that we do need to form some kind of a group to look at what's going on in the river bottom, only because I think there's some issues with the removal of the brush that grows down there, because it does result in the bank being unstabilized, and there's a lot of things that are going on over like by cattle call, that where people cut the brush out, but then erosion occurs if heavy rain or anything else. I noticed that I was looking at the fire over from from near Ridge Park, and there's a lot over there, and you can see the heavy erosion where brush is removed. There's like a buffer zone down there, and heavy erosion washes away the dirt, and the bank starts to collapse if you take all the brush out. So it's kind of a twofold kind of problem. You have the brush and it catches fire, but it also holds the bank together. So there's a lot of look that we have to take about that, and the homeless that are encamped down there. And the one fire broke out on the other side of the river, not where the homeless encampment was. And so there are all those concerns, I think, that we have ongoing. But we've got to take a serious look at it. I think
Yes.
there may be some things we can do to alleviate it. I'm not sure we can absolutely eliminate all fires in the river bottom. I just don't know that that's possible. But I just wanted to bring that point up because sometimes I think people think we can just go down and bulldoze everything out and that solves the problem, but it doesn't always. It may create other problems for
That's true.
us.
And we do have the fire chief here today. I don't know if he wants to share any information, but he would probably be the ideal person to possibly take the lead on this. Would you like to share anything, Chief York?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Fix this. Okay, I won't break it. Good evening. I did also receive some of the some comments directly to my office that mirrors what was shared here tonight. As everybody knows, we have a significant border along our city with the New River Bottom where brush exists. We've identified these areas north of Highway 86 as being more problematic because that is the area where we do have multiple homeless encampments. Myself and the city manager, interim city manager, earlier this week drove these areas to get, just to recon and get a feel of what's going on out there. And the number of encampments are increasing just due to some other issues going on in our state right now. We don't have permanent solutions to everything, and that's not an invitation for defeat. The goal that we're looking at, and I've discussed with our interim city manager, is over the next several months trying to establish some pre-made fire breaks. As Councilman Couchman stated, it's impossible for us to prevent every fire out there without clear cutting everything, which brings on a lot of other issues like erosion control, animal populations. There's just a lot there. As well as bulldozing it. One of the issues we're having with the existing fire that occurred north of Ridge Park is that area had material that was bulldozed in previous years. And what it does is it's putting organic material underneath the dirt, which is why it's still smoldering to this day. Short of getting tractors out and digging that material out, which is incredibly time consuming and expensive, really what we've done is we've contained it, and it's going to have to burn itself out effectively. And some of those areas are just really not safe to bring equipment into. So for now, our immediate plan, which isn't going to be handled in the next day or two, it's going to take quite some time and manpower, is to establish some fire breaks down there. Moving forward to the future, we definitely need to look at some sort of solution to where our homeless populations are gathering, and also if we remove those areas where those homeless populations are going to move to. So it's something we're going to be looking at. Definitely want to maintain communication with some of these stakeholders. And in regards to the fires that we had, some of these same stakeholders that are voicing their concerns are absolutely amazing individuals of our community that lent assistance in the form of bringing us water and refreshments and even some heavy equipment to move materials. So we have a wonderful community that's working with us, and we want to continue that. And this is just going to be a long-term issue, but we're going to start moving towards some sort of solution.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being proactive and going and looking at the area and also already have a plan in mind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank everyone for submitting their comments, and thank you, George, for adding that last one. Can you please come up to the microphone, please?
The piece of land that's across the street from Days Inn, it's that empty lot before that. Well, a friend and me this was like right after our reunion in March. We were flying a kite, we're flying kites right there. And I grew up down there on West C Street, so I know it's like Brownsville, Silty. And as we were
Can you please
flying the kites,
talk into the microphone?
and as we were flying the kites, you know, we wasn't really paying attention. And my friend fell. Just one leg went into a hole that you could. It was like I couldn't believe it. We walked over towards where the bridge and stuff is, and it was like a big old earth. I mean, I've never seen it open up like that. I've lived here all my life. But, I mean, you could not see that hole. She almost broke her leg. I mean, she went from standing to right up to, and was really hurt. But I didn't know, I never said nothing, but, somebody could really get hurt. I'm sure it's the same. It's eroding for some reason underneath, But
Okay, well, thank you for sharing. We'll go ahead and have that checked out. Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on then. Item 3 on our agenda, the consent agenda. Looking for a motion for approval, or did I do that already? No, I haven't, right?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Couchman.
I second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Nava. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to regular business. Under regular business, we have an update on the City of Brawley declaration of local emergency as a result of COVID-19. And we have our Fire Chief, Mike York, to give us a overall outlook.
Good evening again, Madam Mayor, members of the council and city staff. I'm going to,
There you go.
there we go, so we can hear.
Stand over here.
Please, thank you, sir. Begin by sharing the case counts within Imperial County and our neighbors this evening. As of today in Imperial County, we've tested 67,155 members of our population. Total negative tests are 55,115. We've had a total positive since the beginning of the pandemic of 11,606. As of today, active cases is at a pretty low of 318. And of those, our hospital census is only 20. So the majority of the people are recovering at home. Of our 20 hospitalized, 8 are in ICU. Our out-of-county transfers have been reported to have stabilized back to pre-COVID numbers. We're moving the same number of people out, which means that we've, for all the same reasons. So COVID transfers have really dropped. The alternative care site that was located at IVC remains in a warm status, so there is no staff out there. The equipment and supplies remains in place. They report that if needed, they can begin operations within 36 hours. Within the Imperial County, we've had 10,907 persons recovered from COVID that were tested positive and then either have not been contacted over a month or have been tested negative since their initial test. Within the 92227 zip code, our Brawley area, we've had a total of 2,009 persons that were positive, and we recorded 38 of the deaths in Imperial County. Total deaths in Imperial County is at 314, unfortunately. What has been noted is we're very thankful we did not see a major spike following the Labor Day holiday. We're about 2 weeks post, which would generally, based on the previous holidays, 4th of July, Mother's Day, were very, very much recorded spikes. We're not seeing that this time, so that's good. It's either indicating that we're getting ahead of it or people were staying at home and maintaining the social distancing. Our neighbors to the east in Yuma County tested 70,432, confirmed cases 12,591, and deaths 344.
So similar to what we have here.
Yes, sir. Our populations differ by about 25,000, and percentage-wise, they're very close to us in numbers tested, numbers confirmed, and deaths.
By any chance, do you have the Mexicali numbers?
I do. As of, it was yesterday's report in Mexicali, they've had a total of 8,571 positive. They've had 1,522 deaths.
How many?
1,522. The explanation that I've received from some of the members that work closer down there is that their testing procedures are a little different than ours, which is why their death case is so close to their positive case. They're not testing massively the way we are in the States. But as of last night, they had 60 active cases, 60. The blueprint for a safer economy that California has posted, risk level identifiers are based on 2 criteria at the moment. There are new cases per 100,000 and positive test case percentage. Imperial County is currently in the highest tier, which is widespread, which means greater than 7 cases per 100,000 and greater than an 8% case rate. Now, currently we're below these numbers. But it requires us to be below that threshold for 2 full weeks before we can appeal to move to the next level. As of today, the Imperial County count is showing us at 9.69 cases per 100,000 and a 6.07% positivity rate. If you go to the state website, it's actually showing us at 8.9 per 100,000 and a 9% positivity rate, so kind of inverse on ours. The county metrics differ from the state. They're trying to bring them in line, but mostly due to reporting dates from the labs, and also the county is including our inmate population where the state is not. So just different ways of counting your populations. The next tier is called substantial, and to reach that tier, we need to maintain a 4 to 7 per 100,000 case rate and a 5 to 8% for 2 weeks before we can move to that tier. So
We're
our
almost
positivity rate, we're there. Our case count per 100,000, we need to do some improvement, and then we need to hold those numbers for 2 weeks before we can move down.
So if our numbers are a little different from the state, in order to move into the next tier, I would imagine they're going to be looking at the state numbers, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
And the state has their numbers posted online. It's readily available to the public. I did want to share because there's been a lot of questions just across the board, certainly on social media, on why the Imperial County metrics on the Imperial County dashboard don't necessarily match the state metrics at all times. The state is taking the numbers and they're looking at their metrics, and the county is still looking at ours, and a big portion is our inmate population. Locally, the Brawley Fire and EMS response, since the declaration of emergency, we've had 132 calls for service that were COVID related, with 59 that were confirmed COVID positive. Those numbers have actually only gone up by single digits since the last report on September 1st. So we're really seeing our responses drop in the emergency medical side, even though our case rate is still significant.
Very good.
We continue to work with our local, state, and federal partners. The Imperial County Operational Area EOC briefing have been reduced from multiple times a week down to 1 or 2 times a week. And so far, we've been able to secure all of our needed personal protective equipment and supplies, and that's working as should be.
Very good. I think that's positive news for sure.
It is.
Yes, Sam?
How many deaths have we had in the last couple of weeks? Do you know?
It is certainly, the curve is certainly tapered off. I don't have exact numbers. I do know that I don't have it in front of me. I apologize. From our last report, again, deaths from the last report on September 1st to this council meeting, I think is within about 15 or 20.
Okay. I only brought it up because I think I talked to the funeral home owner. They said that their caseload has come down significantly from when we had the crisis situation, but they're still getting a few coming through. Every now and then, they're still getting some of those.
That is correct. That was a situation we were monitoring very closely for a while, and our last reports from them was that they had gotten the equipment and assistance they needed, and then their influx had reduced to the point that they could manage.
That was what she mentioned to me. Yes. So.
Yes, sir.
Chief, could you reiterate what you said about the inmate population? That's a number that would hurt our overall rate or help it if it were included in the state numbers?
I'm not sure if it hurts or helps. Obviously it would just depend on if the prison has an outbreak or not. It's just a different way of looking at it. In terms of census and looking at our total population, the county has always counted our inmate population since they do reside here, whether it's custodial or not. The state does not look at those populations because they are custodial. So it's just different ways that they view those populations.
I know that in the news, when there's an outbreak at a prison, the prison population is a focal point in those articles or broadcasts. So I'm just wondering, if we had an outbreak at Calipat, obviously that's when their numbers would be a focal point. But I just think it's odd that they live here, why they wouldn't be counted in those numbers. And I wonder if the numbers would help us, if we should ask our assembly member to go to bat for us with the state to begin including that part of our population with our numbers.
And I don't have an answer for that because I haven't been shared what the prison numbers are. The EOC representatives from both prisons do make reports, and they're reporting that they're doing routine testing at the prison, and certainly abiding by all the guidelines that the state has put in place for custodial facilities. But as for what their numbers are, I don't know as a specific population.
Right now, the numbers are pretty close, actually, for the way the
are.
state is reporting and the way the county's reporting. But when it's to our benefit, I guess that's when it needs to be addressed with the state, right?
Yeah, exactly. It may not be, I guess.
Okay, thank you for that. Anybody, anything else on that? And we'll move on to the next item. The next item on the agenda is the discussion and potential action to extend the local emergency by 60 days. And we have a resolution, pages 82 through 84, and that's just required for us to continue following the guidelines as long as we're still dealing with the pandemic.
Yes,
So-
ma'am. You have the resolution in front of you, and as the state of emergency is continuing through the state of California, I think it's prudent and wise that the city of Brawley does as well. Part of the, sorry to go back a little bit, but one of the major concerns in the Emergency Operations Center countywide is that we're coming into the very beginning of flu season, which will peak in December and January. And so that's definitely a concern of having regular influenza in conjunction with COVID-19 and how agencies are going to manage that. And so in front of you is the resolution to extend for 60.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm looking for a motion to go ahead and approve the extension of the resolution.
This is George. I'll make a motion to approve the extension.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Nava.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilman Couchman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to item 4B on our agenda, discussion and potential action to approve resolution number 2020, resolution of City Council of the City of Brawley expressing opposition to the proposed housing legislation that erodes local control and expressing support for actions to further strengthen local democracy, authority, and control. And the backup resolution is on pages 85 through 88. And I'll go ahead and have our interim city manager cover this for us.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Mayor, fellow council members. Tyler Salcido, interim city manager / finance director. If I may just add real quick before we jump into this, the city managers are meeting tomorrow with the county to get an update specifically to the COVID issue and what's going on behind the scenes with the state. So hopefully we can provide some more information after that. Before you today, for your consideration, is a resolution expressing opposition to proposed housing legislation that erodes local control and expressing support for actions strengthening local democracy, authority, and control. Earlier this month, the mayor had asked staff to look into an inordinate amount of legislation that was coming out of the state level. What we found was many bills at the state level being proposed have impacts on our local control, as well as a financial impact, more unfunded mandates, and also impacts on public safety. City staff became concerned that these legislative actions leverage a one-size-fits-all approach that does not take into consideration individual local issues or concerns. In general, when the city loses local control, it loses the ability to govern and make decisions based on its local values and interests. The attached resolution expresses the city's opposition to eroding local control and support for actions to strengthen the local democracy and authority. Any questions?
Any questions from council?
Not so much a question. I'm supportive of the resolution. However, I will say that La Mesa's had a problem, the city of La Mesa in the San Diego area. The county came in and they're going to take over a motel, a special developer, let a developer develop a homeless and house them in a motel in their downtown area, in the area off of Parkway Plaza. And they didn't even ask the city. They didn't even say anything to the city. They're just going to do it. Well, now then they've got an uproar going on. So this is kind of indicative of that kind of situation. I think we need to have control, and the same thing with medical clinics and any of the other things that go on in the city. We need to have a certain amount of control because we know what's best for the city, and we listen to the people that are here, that reside here, on what's best for the city. And for the state to tell us what to do and not give us any control or not even consult with us is inappropriate. And so I don't think that should fly. So in that situation, I'm certainly supportive of the resolution.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Couchman. Anyone else? I just wanted to share that there's various cities that actually were taking the initiative to do this, and they contacted our city hoping that we would support it and also draft a resolution. So the city of Torrance was the first one to contact us, and there's various other cities that are also doing the same thing. And I agree with Sam that I think we need to, after talking about this issue with our interim city manager and our Gordon, our community, title. Gordon Gates.
Development Services Director.
all these titles. Anyway, I feel very comfortable with us moving forward on this. So thank you so much for all the legwork you did on this.
I did want to clarify that I'm supportive of helping people with housing, the low-income housing. I think we've done well here in Brawley with establishing several low-income, density-type housing for people here, affordable housing, and also to shelter the homeless. I'm not at odds with that. It just needs to be done in a zoning way and in an appropriate way so that we don't impact the community in a negative way. And so I'm really supportive of all of that. We have been here. We've worked with grants, different things here in Brawley to do that type of housing. So we want to do that, but we want to have some control.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Couchman.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Hamby. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on then to the next item on our agenda, item 4C, 6-month review of the Enterprise Fleet Management Leasing and Maintenance Program. Backup material is on pages 89 through 98. And we have our interim city manager doing a presentation on this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, fellow council members, Tyler Salcido, interim city manager / finance director. In October 2019, the council approved a leasing and maintenance agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management. That program was officially launched in January of 2020. There's a lot of detail in the staff report. What I have up in front of you is just more of a higher overview, and we'll run through this fairly quickly. But if there's any questions, we can address those. So this first sheet here, we have for in the program, we have about 76 vehicles enrolled to date with the maintenance program. And we have 5 new acquired lease vehicles as of June 30th. 2 of those are from streets and utilities, 1 from public works, 1 engineering, and 1 in parks and rec. We also have, and this might be on the next slide here, yes. We're 4 new fully equipped vehicles that I just addressed. At the time the slide deck was prepared, we hadn't had any of the police interceptors that were on order. They have since all 4 shown up at our local vendor for the aftermarkets. So as soon as those aftermarket parts come in, we should have 4 brand new police interceptors in the fleet. On the repairs and maintenance operating expense overview, to manage the tracking of each vehicle, of the city-owned vehicles, it is $6 per unit. And for the leased vehicles, it's an average of 32 per unit. And our average monthly lease expense is $509. Next slide will show, to date, we've spent about, can't read it, 263 year over year for the year of FY 1920 compared to about what's that say?
234?
234?
You can read that?
Yeah.
Yes.
234. For this last year, it's about an average monthly spend of about $22,000. For the 6 months period that we had EFM here, we've reduced the R&M expenditures by about 12%. The major contributing factors of the initial expense for repairs and maintenance was some major repairs and refurbishments with the police units, and then routine maintenance catch up on several vehicles that we were behind on. Fuel expenses. Fuel expense, of course, has been down compared to the same period last year, 6 months comparison. In my mind, that's mostly due to the fuel prices, the global collapse of the oil market. So we do expect that to be creeping back up. Also in the fuel program, we have about, we get 1% of all monthly spend, and currently that's been about $418 in rebates. The fuel tracking is phenomenal. Each vehicle for each department, we know what they're doing real time. Same as repairs and maintenance. I should have covered that a little better. I apologize for that. Everything's real time. As soon as the work's done, we can pick on a unit. We can see how much we've spent on repairs to date. The tracking is as advertised. Right here we have the fiscal impact for the first 6 months. As you can see, for the last year, for the same time period, we were spending about, including personnel and supplies and running the shop, about $253,000. And 6 months to date, this 2020, we're about approximately $176,000 for a savings for 6 months of $76,000. Annualized, that's about $152,000. Very good so far. An overview, some of the pros, as we discussed earlier, reduced downtime response. We're turning the vehicles around quickly for the most part. Repair orders I discussed, we have on-time visibility and approval. Anything over 750 actually comes to me personally to electronically approve line items. And I've made multiple calls to the maintenance shops to discuss things that I thought maybe were a little bit out of line or to get clarification. Improved internal reporting for good decision making, and of course, improved vehicle record keeping. Some of the opportunities that we hope to improve on, the first orders were long delivery times, about 23 weeks for the non-police vehicles. And of course, you know, COVID was probably the main reason for that, but we're hoping that that number increase. And we also are trying to look into getting as many local repair shops enrolled into the program, especially here in Brawley. We're working with a couple other vendors to do that. And as my next item we'll bring to you is the sale of surplus vehicles, and that's an agendized item here that we're going to discuss next. The future, again, we talked about the vehicle sales program, and we'd like to get our replacement plan up to more speed where we're looking, once we have, let's say, an annual spend on certain vehicles, a decision can be made that maybe leasing is a better option, and that'll be more reviewed on an ongoing basis, and more of those would be going to a lease and getting rid of the older fleet. Any questions?
I just wanted to ask you, how many local repair shops are in the program right now?
There is approximately, in Brawley, there is approximately, I want to say 5.
Oh, okay.
And there's some in El Centro and
Good
the
number,
rest
I
of the
think.
county.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, Tyler, I don't remember if you were even here when the presentation was first made, you know, selling us on going with enterprise fleet management, but I don't know if you've seen numbers. Do you recall what kind of a savings they projected we could expect?
There was a range from the presentation that I recall It was depending on how heavy we got into the leasing. It was 15 to 30% in the range. Up front, we haven't dove into the leasing yet because of obvious reasons, budget impact, and not having the data to make informed decisions on how much we're really spending on repairs.
Okay.
But that in that range was what they were estimating, I believe.
Yeah. So the savings that we're realizing right now with the tows that we've got in the water are as good or better than what you were hoping for?
Their figure did not include the maintenance shop, any of those expenses, so you would have to exclude that. When we include those, that's where we get the big savings to date.
Yeah. Good. It seems like it's turning out to be a decent program for us to be in.
Yes, as any new startup, there were hiccups along the way, and we're able to work through most of all of those. And
Maybe backfires is a better no.
yeah. We had some backfires.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah. And staff has been great with jumping in and accepting the program and trying to make it work.
Will there be any kind of a crossover or benefit or difficulty with the new finance software that we're going to be integrating?
There won't be any crossover directly. It won't tie in.
No, because that's web-based entirely,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so, but the process of us recording the actual expenses to the proper department will not change based on this.
Okay. It won't make it any easier.
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it would only because it's there. I mean, the information's there. Uh-huh.
Well,
And
you
that's
have
it.
I should say, the actual information on the repairs is instant right
uh-huh.
there, as opposed, I'm thinking GL accounting-wise when I say it's not going to transfer over, like specifically, we spent $3,000 on parks vehicles, and it's automatically going to crosswalk over like some of our, the rest of our utilities and planning and HR is going to do with the new program. But those are all different modules that will automatically update to the whole system.
So those numbers will have to be input into a different format.
They're normally captured through the check rec process anyway, so it'd be the same process for that.
Good. It's good to have all the information you can have, I mean,
Yes.
readily available and easy to read.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Tyler. That's a very positive report, I think. Okay, the next item on the agenda is also for you, Tyler. It's item 4D. Discussion and potential action to approve resolution number 2020 resolution of City Council, City Brawley acceptance of the city vehicle surplus list. And that backup is on pages 99 through 101. And we have a list here of the vehicles.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor. As part of I mentioned in the prior presentation, we have a list of 15 vehicles, 3 public safety and 3 public works vehicles that we are proposing to surplus and utilizing EFM with their vast network of used car sales. That another feather that in their cap that they were selling to us, that's saying that they can return higher value than we can normally get. Okay. So we're anxious to test that. And before you is the resolution to approve declaring these surplus vehicles.
So one thing that I noticed is that some of them don't have very high mileage, but I guess there must be other issues with them, right? And that's the reason for wanting to get rid of them?
Most of the Crown Vic, well, for example, I was looking at one Crown Vic that maybe it was 69,000. The van with 60,000. Those are in the police department that are not getting utilized. Yes,
Okay.
and so if we're not utilizing them, let's see what we can get.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
they're well beyond their lifespan.
Yeah.
They're like from
They're
Crown Vic
old,
hasn't been
yes.
made since
Yeah.
1922, I think. So you know it's been.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to
2000
be able to fix
yeah.
them probably.
Well,
Maybe.
that's not to say these aren't in running conditions. They're just not being
They're
utilized.
not being used. Okay.
Taxi companies really like them.
Taxis like the Crown Vic.
Yeah.
It's a nice one.
Yep.
That's a big car.
Sam's been behind it. I told him it wasn't a taxi, he was just in a cop car, and I was like, oh, okay.
That radar trailer, is that, is it being sold as a radar trailer just to another agency somewhere?
I don't believe it's,
Yeah, it's just coming up for auction.
Yes. but is,
Okay,
If someone's interested in it, it could be utilized for traffic surveys, not just public use.
okay. I was thinking maybe I could buy it and put it in my neighborhood just to have people slow down or for birthday announcements or.
Maybe you'll get a good price on it, yeah.
well, we'll need to get a credit app on you, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, we can write our own tickets and make some money. Look at that.
Get that in a Crown Vic and just sit there. People slow way down.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll also move to approve.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Pro
Second the
Tem.
motion.
Okay, thank you both.
Thank you.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed or abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Tyler. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on then to departmental reports. Update on the emergency construction project at the Brawley Water Treatment Plant to replace components of 2 sedimentation basins, presented by a Public Works Director, Guillermo Cias. Welcome, Guillermo.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Guillermo Sillas, Public Works Director. Regarding this project, the emergency continues. The current status of the project is that as part of the punch list, the contractor has to make some corrections to the stabilization system of the trough at sedimentation basin number 1. The status on the change order number 1 that includes raw water pump, BFD, and actuator for sludge collector is the BFD was ordered, but there's no date of shipment or arrival yet. And the actuator will be shipped on October 2nd, 2020. So hopefully we can finalize by the end of November or so with the change order. The other part, the original scope of the contract is very close to be completed. Just some minor adjustments. Any questions?
Any questions from council? Mr. Warden, any questions? Okay. All right, thank you very much, Guillermo.
you.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 6, an informational report, a record of building permits for August 2020, and it was prepared by Oscar Escalante, our interim building official, and you have the info on pages 102 and 103. And they're for your information, and unless there's any questions, we'll move on. Okay. Moving on to item number 7 on our agenda, City Council member reports. And we'll go ahead and start with Councilmember Couchman.
Okay. Not a whole lot going on that I have to report. I will say that I did view the fires and the progress they were making over there as they were fighting those different organizations. And I was very pleased to see all the city staff, Public Works, police, fire, IID was there, and other city staff involved in handling the crowd or the people driving around there, and also maintaining the safety distances and all of that type of thing. I was very pleased to see the cooperation and everything that went on with that. Looked very good. The people seemed to be pleased that I was standing there watching it over on one of the streets over off of Duarte. And they were very pleased with the city staff. They seemed like the people were very attentive to them fighting that fire. I did notice the one fire truck, I think county, being pulled out of a position over there. So it is a problem over in that area, getting equipment in and out of that area. So I did notice that while I was watching the fire. And also, I think overall people are just concerned. But a lot of information goes out on Facebook. And I noticed that that's one way to communicate with people if you want to calm them down or you want them to get information that they may need under certain circumstances. A lot of people are involved with Facebook. I know Lloyd does quite a bit of that, but I also know that other people around Brawley do that also, and they communicate in that way. I was very pleased with the cooperative nature of all that. I have driven around the city probably every other day. I noticed the street work on Allen seems to be moving along and hopefully getting completed. That's been a kind of a headache of a project, I think, for the residents and for us also. And so that's moving right along. And I also noticed the work being done out on Legion. So I've driven out in that area, and I've just basically driven around Brawley, noticing, what's going on, what we're working on, what's happening out there. And I do commend the staff for getting those projects going and getting them completed. And I think the people are going to be very happy with those roadways. And with that, that's really all I have to talk about tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilman Nava?
All right, so I'll try to keep them very brief. I was able to represent the city of Brawley and the Imperial County Transportation Commission on an annual summit. It's called Mobility 21. It's a transportation summit. And normally it takes place in person in Anaheim, and it's a well-attended event from transportation leadership from throughout Southern California. And this year, because of COVID, there was it was a restricted conference, so it was online, it was virtual. But I'll tell you, they had a very great presentation. It was, although it was virtual, it was formatted in a way to where you were walking into the hotel lobby. It was just very impressive, the way it looked and the way it was presented. And so I had the benefit of representing the county and the city of Brawley. But I had some other very distinguished speakers on there as well. I was, I think there was five other speakers, and I did share some struggles that we have here locally in Imperial County and Brawley with respect to transportation. But it was quite an honor. One of the speakers was Eric Garcetti, and I had a conversation with him. He's a mayor of the city of Los Angeles, and he governs about 19 million people. So all the way from representation from that large of a spectrum, right? And then little old Imperial Valley. So I tried to do my very best in representing as well. I think I did a good job in that respect. But it was quite an honor to represent the Valley. Some good information on what other areas are doing with respect to transportation. And today I took a ride around town on the Gold Line with David Aguirre, who is the program manager for ICTC. And we went through every stop. There's 28 stops in the city. Took an hour, takes 60 minutes exactly. It's free to ride, so I encourage people to do that. But I did share, of course, that we have challenges that others don't. And one is primarily is there is, of course, obesity and all these other factors, but there's the hot temperatures of the summer. And when you're waiting outside for transportation, and our population here is not like they're taking the bus to get to work or save on fuel. They're really public transit dependent. They need that to get to wherever they're going, whether that's to Walmart or to the doctor, wherever it is, right? And so anyway, it was a thrill for me, an honor to be able to do that. So I wanted to share that with you, and I did my very best to represent us all well. So that, and then got a lot of calls with respect to the local fires and that's been taking place lately. And of course, those comments were shared earlier today. And I agree that we do need to come up with a plan. I appreciate Chief York sharing his thoughts, and our city manager as well. So I look forward to working on that together in the future. And another item that came up recently was, of course, this CUP application. That's been there's been a lot of activity online with respect to that issue, and I encourage the public to share their concerns and their comments with myself and city staff. So that and other things that have been taking place just naturally within the city. Also attended a ribbon cutting, one we haven't attended in quite some time. That was here next to our facility here, and that's on our at the park. And because of state legislation that allows for smaller kitchens to operate in that fashion, we were able to host a ribbon cutting along with the Brawley Chamber of Commerce. So I want to thank the Brawley Chamber of Commerce and everyone else for attending. So anyway, those are some of the things that I've worked on in the past few days. And there's a longer list, but I'll keep it to that. So thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you. And I did have an opportunity to listen to that presentation you did on behalf of the ICTC, and you did a great job.
Oh, thank you very much.
Representing Imperial County. Yes,
Thank you.
did. Okay. Donnie, are you there? You want to give us a report?
On the big screen.
Okay,
On the big
very good.
screen. Yeah. Thank you, Madam Mayor, as well, sharing many of the same, I think, topics that my council members have already touched on. Also received numerous calls on the topics, again, that were already mentioned, the CUP application. Of course, the fires and concern ongoing with the brush and also the ongoing issue with the homeless, which is obviously a very vexing and challenging issue. One that I think will continue to not only wrestle with, but I think as a council incumbent upon us to continue to share with some of our neighboring, not only cities, but cities throughout the state of California for ultimate solutions. I don't think there's an easy answer to that end. But again, I appreciate the comments that have come in from the public on that. Also, I just want to comment, since we've moved into a different phase on COVID, it was nice to get out and actually outdoor dine with some of our local restaurants. And I know many of us have done that. And certainly, as we continue to emphasize the support and get out there locally. But it was a really great feeling, and obviously as the weather hopefully kind of turns the corner here a little bit more, our evenings, I would certainly encourage those. If you haven't done it already, it is nice to get out here in our own town, not having to go to some other state or another city. So, and outside of that, have spent quite a bit of time doing off and on discussions and work with our interim city manager on numerous topics. But I know maybe some of my council members have received also some interest in some calls in some of the positions that have been advertised, as well as the future direction here as we continue to look for a long-term leadership solution for the police department. So all those and many more. Again, first, I think day of fall, a lot to celebrate here. And hopefully those COVID numbers will stay the same and the economy can continue to open up here for the local area. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Warren. And we hope to see you back in Brawley soon.
Tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Mayor Pro Tem Hamby?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Toward the beginning of the month after the last council meeting, I attended a planning commission meeting and a library board meeting. That one was by phone. And pretty shortly after that library board meeting, I had the opportunity to go to the library and record a book. I read a book, kid's book, to be put on the hub on Facebook so that parents can show that to their kids before they go to bed. Hopefully they won't have nightmares from the story that I read. But hopefully that will be posted soon if the sound quality is okay.
Was it The Shining?
I
Or which
have
one
not
was it?
seen it.
Yeah,
I have
it
not
hasn't
seen
been posted yet.
Okay.
It's actually a book about a mouse who plays the violin, so
Oh.
it's nothing
How
that
appropriate.
scary. I did play violin afterwards, so we'll see how that turned out.
Really creepy?
Really creepy, yeah. I got a chance to meet with the Chamber of Commerce CEO to discuss several topics, including, but not limited to, the cattle call events that are upcoming and, how different that's going to look this year. But, just grateful that the rodeo is going forward without spectators, but still going to happen. And some creative solutions for how to still have some of the events that we're used to having around cattle call. We talked about some of the new businesses that are starting up, some that had the audacity to start just as the economy was being shut down, and grateful that those are still open. And I do believe that it seems like as we travel to different cities, we see the ones that have opened back up for the most part. That's when you really start to see what the true economic effect is going to be from COVID. So I think it still remains to be seen how hard hit we're going to be here in Brawley, and my hope and prayer is that we'll weather this storm, and that by and large businesses will still be able to open and operate in a fashion that they did before. I know that we have a lot of adversity in front of us, but I think we're poised if we make the right decisions as a council and as city administration, to have a positive future as we come up out of this economic shutdown. So I do hope and pray that we make wise decisions. Also in the conversations with the chamber CEO, we talked about the homeless issue, and of course there are several topics that are bubbling or boiling right now that do seem to center or have at its center the homeless population here in Brawley. And you know, it's hard to find a city that has addressed the issue of homelessness in a way that is successful. Not just, you know, getting them out of sight, but getting them into a place where they get the right kind of help, and, you know, working with them to give them something to do. And it is a problem that continues to grow, and it seems like statistically the cities that spend a tremendous amount of money trying to fix or address the homeless issue, it doesn't seem to help the more money that's spent. It's like the problem seems to grow. And so I don't think it's just a matter of throwing money at it. I think it's a matter of being very, very wise, very cautious with the dollars that we do receive and do spend on the homeless issue. But obviously it has to be approached with compassion, understanding that these are people, these are souls that you know, they hit a hard time or are suffering from the traumas of their childhood, and having adopted a child out of you know, trauma, I can understand that if people aren't helped in a way that truly does help them, not just, you know, given a place to stay, but the mental health issues that are really the root of the problem of homelessness here, if those are not addressed properly, the problem doesn't go away, and often it will just grow. So in talking with Katie Luna about this issue, we were kind of throwing around some different ideas for how we can help at least the issue, and help the people that are in that situation. And so my hope is that as we move forward and kind of band together and collaborate on some solutions, we probably won't solve the problem, but if it can at least be helped to where it's not affecting the way it is currently, our city center, our alleyways, the small businesses that people are trying to operate and are being adversely affected in that way. If we can create some positive change there, I think anything is better than nothing. So moving forward, I know that within the PD, we have a lot of officers and administration that interact with the homeless people regularly, and I think they're a wealth of knowledge that can be tapped for some of the best practices, best ways to address the issue and get them the help that they need. I know that some people, whether they're homeless or they have a place to live, or whether they're wealthy or whatever, they're going to do evil things no matter what their lot in life is. But I think the vast majority of them have fallen on hard times and have mental health issues that need to be addressed. So I'm sorry to go on so long on that issue, but I know that it is the cause of a lot of heartache throughout our city, and it's sort of intertwined with a lot of the issues that we've been getting a lot of phone calls and texts and messages about, whether it's the river bottom fires or you know, garbage in the alleys, or needles that people are coming across, or you know, a CUP for a business that you know, probably is going to be dealing with some of them. It's just going to take a lot of careful consideration and decision making on our part. And of course, along those lines, as everyone else, I had a lot of interaction with concerned citizens about these issues, and it's being in this position, being on city council, you know, it's rewarding in that you're able to meet with the community members and try to problem solve. And I don't think there's any one of us on this board that don't have a heart to see our city improve. And we may go about it in different ways, but there's not one of us that likes to see our homeless population growing, or people living out on the streets or down in the river bottom when it's 125 degrees outside. That's not humane or compassionate, and none of us want to see that. And so I hope that we can come up with some solutions to at least help some of them. Let's see, I noticed today a traffic signal out at Rio Vista and Main, and I thought to myself, sure is nice that that's on Caltrans property, not cities. I did get to enjoy a bus stop here in Brawley. A few weeks ago, I had to go to the DMV to renew my license, and they make you sit outside. So I saw that the bus stop was available and somewhat shady, and it was only, I think it was only 115 that day, so I sat at the bus stop. There were no buses that came by, so I didn't get on one. But
Should have taken a picture, had somebody take a picture.
I
of you on the
did
bus
shoot a
stop.
selfie and sent it to a friend.
You didn't post it.
I didn't post it, yeah.
Public transportation.
That would have made the news.
Yeah. So anyway, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem Hamby.
Yep.
Okay, one of the things that I managed to do during actually, I think it was last week or the week before last, myself and both chiefs and our city manager and interim city manager went out to the Pure Grow site to meet with the Chevron representatives that are out there. They started working on that site, removing the stockpile, and there's been a lot of activity on Facebook about it. So we wanted to make sure that they knew who we were, and if they needed anything from us, you know, we gave them our phone numbers, and so. Things appear to be going well, and they will be out there. I think the plan is to maybe finish that part of the removal of the stockpile at the end of December. But we've had a few people, you know, post pictures and videos from out there, but I think most of them are just more informational, I mean, to the public that maybe are not aware of what's going on out there, but nothing too negative that I've seen. But if there is any of that kind of communication, we'll be sure to respond to their needs right away. And I also attended the ribbon cutting, and that's like I think George mentioned that you know, the new state laws that are allowing now different types of businesses, small businesses, and which include street vendors. And this is actually a street vendor. It's called Flash Dogs, and so we went out there to support the new owner. And I have to say I haven't tried the hot dogs yet, but I plan to be out there one day when I see him out there. But he had a lot of people show up on his first day of the grand opening, so we wish him a lot of success in this new type of business, and we probably will be seeing a lot more of this in our city. And like everyone else, I think I responded to a lot of concerns from the public. I got a lot of phone calls, a lot of them regarding the fires down there in by the river bottom. And again, thank you to the chief and everyone that will be working on that effort to take care of that, and thank the public that submitted their public comments for us to consider. And in addition, I did get a few requests, a few businesses that are still looking for assistance with grants or loans, and I directed them to the county. They still have monies available for business loans, and hopefully they'll be able to be successful in getting some assistance. Primarily, they're looking for assistance for the PPE or to ensure that they have all the material that's necessary to be safe when they reopen their business. And also I responded to a lot of concerns regarding that CUP permit for the clinic in our downtown area. So made sure to share with them that they need to voice their concerns during the public hearing sessions, and whatever input we receive, we'll share that also with our with Gordon and staff. And other than that, I think that's, I also want to commend our staff on the work that's being done over on Legion Road and Allen Street. They both look really, really nice. They're almost at completion, I believe. Legion Road impressed me. I think they're really fast. I mean, I don't know, it just seemed like overnight the work is getting done, so very good. Thank you.
Mayor, I
Yes.
do have an item that I didn't bring up earlier, if you don't mind.
Sure.
It's actually an item that came about because of our city attorney, Bill Smearden. He had posted something online with respect to illegal dumping in an alleyway. And so I reached out to Republic Services about that, and they've assisted with that. But we talked about the cleanup day, and since we haven't had it because of COVID, we just kind of brainstormed quickly, and they're proposing that instead of having the community cleanup at like the airport, that they would just give the passes to the dump. You go in, they dump, and they'll be able to accommodate that for all city residences on a particular day. It makes it easier for everybody, and it prevents the cross contamination or other things. So anyway, that's maybe we can finalize those details with them. But I think that's really good because it gives people an opportunity to just take it down there and dump it without having to wait in line and all that sort of stuff. So that might be a real good solution to some of the problems we've had recently. So anyway, that's thanks to Bill's
Complaint.
post, and that triggered the thought process and everything else. So hopefully that is sorted out here very soon, and then we'll announce it. So anyway, I just
Thank you for that. Okay.
forgot to mention it.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and move on to our interim city manager report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be brief. One item on my list was the river bottom fire, but the chief discussed that thoroughly, so thank you for that, Chief. I would just add that there are multiple stakeholders down there, so it's going to take more than just the city of Brawley to come up with a total solution or options. But in the meantime, Chief York, we spoke about a plan that he has for the city-owned property, and I believe it to be a very good plan, and we're going to flush that out. And in the interim, you'll start to see some efforts there before we could get all the stakeholders gathered. And
Will it flush out to the new river or no?
Your house.
We already had a problem today.
Yeah,
I think, with that.
So, and then also in the prior council meeting, the council had approved a utility relief for senior citizens. That is in the works. We've gone through the process with the state and verified that everything is eligible that we thought would be eligible as far as the seniors are concerned. We're waiting on the state to finalize and approve the grant, and then we can move forward with the details for the senior citizens.
What was the amount of that grant?
It's about 120,
24?
27,
Or
Gordon?
something like that?
127. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. And the last thing that I would add, the mayor brought up Pure Grow. The stakeholders at the Pure Grow site are very good in communicating with the city. I would say almost daily I'm having conversations with them that they're initiating just to keep us in the loop on how things are going. So that is a plus.
Is the project on time as far as you can see?
They are starting tomorrow to actually export in a small ramp up, as they called it, about 5 to 10 loads tomorrow, with by Monday being the full exporting of the stockpile out of there.
Okay. All right.
And lastly, I need to thank all the department heads and staff for putting up with me in this transition. They've all been very helpful and patient with me, so I thank everybody for that. So that's all I
And we want
have.
to thank you also for being responsive to the council and myself, because I know you're very busy, but you've been able to answer our questions and get back to us as soon as we send out any requests to you, so we appreciate.
Thank you.
Okay.
4 more years.
What was that? I didn't hear
4
that.
more years.
How much gray hair do you have? Okay, moving on to the city attorney report.
Two things. One, former Mayor Nava, talk about Republic. This week I called Republic and said, hey, I've got a bulky, nasty old chair. I need it picked up. And they said, put it out in the morning. I put it out in the morning and it was gone in the afternoon. Didn't cost me anything. So please don't dump it in the alley. Just call Republic. They'll take care of it. The other thing, the crazy house on South Imperial, the court has issued an injunction against him.
Thank you.
I'm going to have the sheriff serve it, hopefully this week, and then we'll see what happens. But the injunction's just a piece of paper.
Thank you. I passed by there the other day, and I was going to ask you what the status on that was, because it still looks pretty bad.
Judge Jones ordered him to clean it up, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be interesting.
City clerk? Nothing to report? Thank you. Okay, well, that concludes our open meeting for today. Thank you all for attending, and we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll go into closed session. Everyone have a great